Thank you, sir. Can we give the Lord a hand praise, everyone? Can we give the Lord a hand praise, everyone? If it is convenient, can you find a witness and tell them there is nothing too hard for God? There is nothing too hard for God. To our presiding bishop, the distinguished members of the General Board, to this holy convocation, to all of the saints, Jeremiah appears to ask a question in chapter 32, where he both shares the word of the Lord that says, "Behold, I am the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me?" That's why I ask you just to find a witness and affirm, because you can reflect over your life and surely say, there is nothing too hard for God. That requires for you to have an intimate knowledge and ultimate trust, to remember the time that the Lord did something unusual and special for you. I am reminded of a story of a man. He was a young soldier who then married a daughter of a preacher in Alabama. This particular young man, he and his bride, they met, they fell in love, and they had 8 children. The daughter was a sanctified girl, and they moved to another community for better opportunities. And while they were there were many challenges that happened to that young couple. 2 of their children suffered strokes. One of their sons was hit by a car and killed. And one of their children was born so infirmed until the doctor simply told the lady, "Do not bring that child back to the hospital. There is nothing else we can do for that child, because no meat will stay on that child's bone." Later, that father, her husband, he died. 7 months before her husband died, her father died. She was grieving, but she had the assurance that there was nothing too hard for God. She went to God in prayer, believing that God would bless her with her 8 children to raise them by herself. A sanctified woman in the church of God in Christ, who believed that if God can do anything, that God could do everything, and there is nothing too hard for God. Though that sainted mother is now gone on to be with the Lord, I do want you to know that her testimony is yet alive. When she died, she looked over her shoulder and she said, "The Lord has been good to me. Every request I asked of him, he performed just what he said." It would appear to be strange that she would have that testimony as a widow woman with 8 children, but she was able to send all 8 of those children to college. And then let me just share with you about the little boy that the doctor said don't bring back to the hospital anymore, and there would never be any meat on his body. I want you to know you're looking at that little boy right now. Can you find a witness and say there is nothing too hard for God? Please take your seat. It is rude to stand while somebody's talking. And And if I can just take one more Kojic minute and give you one more testimony as to why it's a good thing to give. One of the other 8 little children that mother would take on the bus to the Church of God in Christ in Milwaukee, because she could not drive, became not only the choir member at the church and the minister of music at the church, but right now is the largest minority-owned franchise owner in America, owning more than 140 Burger King, Pizza Huts, Auntie Anne, and is an assistant supervisor in the Church of God in Christ. Tell somebody there's nothing too hard for God. Do you need a miracle? I believe if you need a miracle, God is the miracle working God. He is no respecter of person. And as you give tonight, I want you to give with expectation. If God, now I did tell my mother before she died, I said, Mama, you know you fast 14 days that the Lord would put meat on my bones. I said, will you go on another fast that the Lord will take some of it off? She said, son, I prayed it on. You better fast it off for yourself.